yo, it's your boy Ancient Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew -1. No Anthony or Spigs tonight. He is taking care of his son who broke his thumb, so get better well soon. Or get well soon. Get whatever. Get better soon. And as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us here on Twitch and subscribe to us over on YouTube. It is a huge help for our channel. We are striving to become bigger and better, and we can only do that with your support. And we thank you all very much for where we've gotten so far. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do without your support. But all that being said, Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Well, you know, guys, it's another good night. We have somebody from MCG here. We actually have none other than our very own Bear Weiter, art director extraordinaire at MCG. This man is an artistic dream through and through. If you really think about it, he's like the definition of artistic. He's an illustrator, an animator, a designer, writer of fantasy, horror, and weird. Even produces a podcast, Station 151. Please give a warm Cypher Unlimited welcome to none other than Bear Weiter.
Thank you.
So, with that being said, back on Backerkit right now, we're looking at Invisible Sun, the reprint. This is the third time back. This is an amazing thing to see, see it unfold as it's unfolding, because right now on Backerkit, we're sitting at $433,000 and 1,739 backers. At 1843, we're going to get another stretch goal, which is an art book. So that's pretty cool. But all that being said, they're welcome again. And Al, let's jump right in with some questions about what's going on.
Sorry, I was dying laughing because I had our names mixed up there. But I fixed it. we'll do it live, as they say. We'll do it live. F it. We'll do it.
We're shirt twins, so, I can understand the confusion.
Oh, and real quick, since you're fixed that, the last thing is there's 8 days left to back the Black Cube. And if you haven't backed it, if you can afford to back it, you will not be disappointed. And we're going to get right in and talk about this amazing piece of work here.
So yeah, link is down below if you haven't looked already. It's in the chat and it will be in the YouTube description as well. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, let's dive in with the questions here. So our first question here. So it's on Backerkit this time around for crowdfunding, and this is the third time basically it's being funded, right? We had the first original one, the reprint, and now this is the second reprint, I believe.
Yep. That's exactly right.
And are there any challenges with bringing a tried and true product back on Backerkit? And are you surprised by the response to the campaign so far?
I think the whole team is very, very, very happy to see how well it's been doing. We, as you said, this is the third crowdfunding campaign, the second reprint. We had a fantastic very first Kickstarter for it. It was very well received. We did the reprint because, very quickly on, the demand was still there, right? And I think I think that reprint Kickstarter was within a year and a half, maybe 2 years of the first one. But at this point, it's been out for a little while. I think it's become hard to get. I think, we had seen some copies on eBay selling for quite a bit. And, but, we just did not have absolutely any more in the warehouse. I think Charles and Tammy tell a story about how during a flood, they actually lost their one Black Cube. And they don't have another one to replace it with, right? It's so it's a little unforgivable for us internally to not have our own copies, let alone, of course, not being able to supply others. So, but we had no idea how successful this was going to be. Invisible Sun has always been our most expensive product to make. It's a very expensive product to produce. The box itself is a significant portion. We have hardcover books in there; they aren't cheap, and on and on. There's just I think the spec sheet for this product is like over 100 items that get sent. So like each book has a line item for its cover and for its interior files, but there's just so many things in this book or inside this box, and it's just a really expensive product to make, and and it's just. We have things like, say, the Cypher system rulebook, right? And when we run out of stock, we will reprint it because it's an evergreen title. We always want this to be out there. We know what it costs. We know we can print X many copies, and that will give us a year supply or 2-year supply or 3-year supply or whatever. The Black Cube is just not that. We had really no way of knowing how many people wanted the game, and if we were just going to reprint it, say, just on our own, right? We would have to print at a minimum quantity, and minimum quantities are always going to be more expensive than if we can print at a larger volume. Crowdfunding, it allows us to actually see this. People are going to back it. We know what the volume is now, and so we can order to that volume. And I'm sure there's going to be some extras that we'll produce again. But it's a challenging project. It's expensive to make. It takes a lot of space in the warehouse, and this year we increased our warehouse capabilities massively, and we are still full. We are, no matter what, our warehouse is always getting a workout. And if we had to stock, say, 500 copies of the Black Cube or whatever, just for people to be buying here or there, it just takes up a massive amount of space. So, all things said, this is the way to do it. It makes a lot of sense that we crowdfund this way, and it allows us to do some other cool things. Right, we're doing a new product. Plus, there's another book to come, the art book. I'm very hopeful that we are going to hit that goal. I assume we're going to be hitting that goal. Things have been moving really, really well. And again, we wouldn't be able to do those kinds of special things without crowdfunding.
That's awesome. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. So, you guys are as surprised as we are, because I didn't realize the demand was like that for the Black Cube either. I would have never thought, we heard that it was coming and all of that, but it's impressive. It's very, very impressive. And I think, again, it's a testament to the quality of what you guys put out, and I think by me saying that, I can go ahead and ask you this next question. 'Cause you've been in the industry a long time. I mean, you're mind behind the original Black Cube. You're the guy who went out there and figured out how to design it. I love the story. You told us about that, going over and sitting down in a room and all the parts. So with this reprinting, with this next thing coming about, are there going to be any updates to the cube itself or any new secrets added?
That is a great question. I can't answer on the secrets. I think anything I would say on that would be spoilery. The truth is, though, we will probably minimize the amount of changes that we make to things that are truly critical. There's always errata, right? When we did the first reprint, we went through a number of things. We found a number of errors in the book. We can proof these things to death, and there's always going to be a typo, right? The best way to find typos after proofing is to send the book out. People are going to find the typos. We had errata, we fixed that. But I'm certain there's going to be at least a little bit more errata to change. That's going to be our focus, is just to really make sure that it's as up to date as possible in that sense. But I think the real focus and our time that's going to be spent is going to be on the next products, right? So the Wellspring, I know Monte has already put a lot of thought into this. This is also one of those that's going to be heavy on handouts and props, something that we really love making. So I think there's a lot of room to do some really, really cool things with the Wellspring. And then, of course, we have the next book to come. So the Black Cube itself, you pretty much just assume that, if you already have it, there's probably not going to be a lot of changes that you're going to see. You're probably going to have to really hunt to see any kind of changes. And as I said, with the secrets, I think I've probably been more forthcoming than I ever should have on the Cypher Unlimited Discord about secrets. It's best that I just kind of keep my mouth shut about those.
So that's kind of hilarious, because the next question I have here is about secrets.
Yeah.
So, and this kind of is an interesting one. I feel like it's an interesting question, but let me just ask it. So, speaking of secrets, have all the original secrets been found? And are there any plans to release like some sort of compiled document that has all the known secrets, just so we can know what all is contained within what we're collecting or buying?
We don't want to tear our books, because I've heard about people dismantling, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Anybody who would have buried a secret in the box itself is masochistic and mean, and I'm sorry that we did that. No, that actually didn't happen. I would never actually. I don't think any of us will ever confirm if any real specifics like that. I think it takes the fun out of it. If we said, maybe on Monty's deathbed or something, maybe he'll spill and say, hey, you guys still missed this one thing or something. But in the end, I feel like giving any kind of additional hints or thoughts on that, it kind of weakens it a little bit. You guys, with the Cypher Unlimited Discord, I'm sure the secrets channel is still there. So if people are really interested, there's been lots of chatter there. I lurked a lot during the early days when this came out, and I really love seeing what people were discovering and all these things. But any additional confirmation, I think, would just kind of weaken it or cheapen it.
I mean, hey, we had to try.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Hey.
I will say that since you brought it up, the early days, that when that cube first dropped, like, oh my god! So that channel was going crazy about the secrets that were held within the cube. Like, oh my goodness! It was like conspiracy level things, like talking about the clocks in the corners and the hands and all. Like, it was bonkers.
I mean, that was crazy. But I just, like I said, all in all, the whole thing, that portion, but. I remember the reactions of people just opening those cubes for the first time, those videos and all that, and seeing, dude, it was crazy. But yeah, there's good stuff.
This is one of those things that there's putting that level of effort and detail into stuff, whether that means building an additional layer into the game that maybe some people may never catch on to or think about. Or for those that really get into it, right? It's there was a lot of joy, I think, in putting detail into this game, and secrets are very much a part of the game itself. So anything that may actually be an actual secret that builds to something else, it all just kind of enriches the experience. And there was lots of good stuff in there, I think.
So one of the other things that you guys are known for is your magnificent art. The layouts, I mean, it's like what goes in, comes out. So you're the guy who sees all this stuff. So will we ever see like the full art that people have tried to piece together from the original books, or chapter openers?
Yeah. So to your question, in case some people don't know what you're talking about, at the beginning of each chapter within the original 4 books, the box Black Cube core books, there is a piece of art. It is a party scene. It's very evident as soon as you go to the very first chapter. You see that it's a party scene, and a whole bunch of characters obviously interacting. They're all weird and wild and all that. But as part of the Secrets channel, I know there has been efforts where people have tried to. We only ever show a crop of the piece of art. But I know people have put together and put effort into making the full piece of art based upon, I think originally people were taking photographs because, of course, we did not have PDFs that were publicly available. And then later on, when the PDFs came out, I think it made it a little bit easier for them to piece it together. But it's a surreal puzzle because it doesn't quite fit together. And so, obviously, us within the company have seen a full, complete scene. Complete is in quotes here. And the artist, of course, who made it, Roberto Peturo, is a fantastic artist. We use him for so many things, and he always brings his A game for creativity and all of that. He, of course, has seen the final piece, and then there is one backer who has seen it, and that is the high-end backer from the original campaign. And we sent him an art print from this book, or from that piece. The truth is, we do. I can't make any promises, but we do have an art book that's coming out. This is the original Black Cube comes with an art book, and it's, I think, a 64-page booklet, maybe 48 pages, something like that. We did a second one for the first reprint. And there's a lot of really nice, fantastic art here, but we'd like to do a bigger art book, something that's really a high-end art book, a coffee table art book, something that is hardcover and would really fit with art books that you would buy at a museum, right? Something that's high quality and all that. And so that's kind of the intent, is to have that to come out, but maybe there's some way we can incentivize or have as a stretch goal or something, that maybe if we hit certain things, maybe this art in its entirety maybe would come out in that art book. I don't know if that's the case. I believe certainly when Monte and I were working on this, it was his idea as a core item. Obviously, I worked with the artist to bring this to vision. I think at the time the intent was that no one was ever going to see this in its entirety, but this art book might make sense to kind of bring that out. And the truth is, the reason, of course, why this thing can't be pieced together with what we've given you as far as imagery goes, is that I've never done any calculations to how many variations there could be of this piece of art, but it would easily be in the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands.
Nice.
So many details are variable with this piece of art. It's really a masterwork in the way Roberto built this thing. It's really.
I was just getting ready to ask you, did the picture, and then you just said it. I was just getting ready to ask you if it had anything to do with perspectives. So.
Yeah, he did a lot of layering magic in Photoshop, right? There's layers upon layers upon layers. There's variations upon variations on variations, and I'm sure it's not endless when you properly calculate how many different layers and how many variations and all these things. But it's I had a lot of fun building out each of these cropped pieces to make sure that none of them would ever be the same between pieces. So there's a spreadsheet somewhere that has all of my numbers and lists and plans, and it's a pretty big, wild piece.
Someone said something very interesting in the chat. Our viewer Zeus Legion, and they also earlier said they love Station 151, by the way.
Thank you.
And they were saying, if only there were an ongoing comic series or graphic novels featuring MCG's primary cipher system settings like Invisible Sun that included bonus creatures, locations, adventures, etc. as an incentive to collect them and attract new players. Winky smiley face.
I have certainly pitched the idea of us doing. I would love us to, somehow extend our storytelling to other media. And so, I at this point, obviously, I really enjoy working in the podcast world, audio drama world. I would love for MCG to come out with some kind of Numenera story or an Invisible Sun story, right? I think it would really lend itself to these things. We have a good number of people within the company who are comic book fans. Monty, of course, is a huge connoisseur of comic books, so he certainly has done comic books work before. Tallis had a comic book graphic novel version. Yeah, nice. So none of this stuff would necessarily be new to us, but I do think there are opportunities that it's like when we've done our novels, right? We've done novels before. It's just slightly a step outside of what MCG is, in that it's now storytelling as opposed to game creation. But our games are so storytelling heavy, and of course we have a very, very deep writer base within the company that it would make sense, I think, for us to at some point still dabble at least a little bit in. I think graphic novel would make a lot of sense. Podcasting, maybe things that tied together in that way, right? I mean, you could certainly tell stories from different points of view. So I have hopes that we end up doing something like that at some point. My guess is if we ever did, it would probably be a crowdfunded thing again, because it would allow us to judge that demand. Are we printing up 500 comics? Are we making this like a 96-page collection of a graphic novel? Are we whatever it is? So there's no plans. These are some things that I've pitched before. So for anybody at MCG listening to me here I am pitching it again. So if you guys would like to see this, fans or whatever, it never hurts to let people know. Hey, you guys should do that. That makes a lot of sense. I'm willing to throw money at that.
Well, if I could say so myself, Bear, I would definitely be on board for something like that. Maybe, give us a graphic novel, 3 graphic novels over the course of a year or something. Yeah. Or, maybe a graphic novel and a 6-episode podcast.
Yeah.
That would be great. And, some other people too who come on and help as writers if you wanted to.
There you go. Yeah.
And before I move on to the next question, I will say this just because it's an awesome idea. I would buy the hell out of a Gods of the Fall like graphic novel series or something like that. That's like not even maybe like an overarching story, just a collection of little stories in that world. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
All of the settings would be phenomenal. You could do anything. I mean, when you really think about this is what we talk about. I'm a fanboy for just a second, but this is what I try to get people to understand about Cypher system and what you guys at MCG have created. Your worlds are so rich in lore that you don't even worry about the mechanics, because you just want to delve into the worlds, the strange, predation, Gods of the Fall. Even, I mean, like we said, Unmasked is amazing.
Yeah.
It just, it just didn't catch on at the time because of powers and all that, but Claim the Sky's here now.
Yeah. A lot of it, clearly we do just a huge amount of world building for our game systems, for the genre books that we put out and all of that. Part of it is, of course, then finding the right stories to tell. But I think, say like with graphic novels, I think it would be a good example. The challenge, of course, for us is then also on that distribution side of things, right? It's now new partnerships and new agreements and new kinds of things. If we're trying to get this into, say, comic shops, and why not? Why would you print something and not try to get into those worlds? Game stores, clearly we have distribution channels set up. Both through our own agreements with distribution channels, as well as we also work with some retailers directly. So we have those systems in place for our games, and now we would have to kind of redevelop some of that if we were talking graphic novels or comics or whatever. So that's some of the challenges and some of the reasons why it's easier to kind of be cautious. But on audio dramas, hey, I know how that stuff works now. So those things are easy to distribute and get out there. And, And yeah, but I'm hopeful. We'll see.
Cool.
Would be awesome.
Yeah.
We'll say that. But yeah, moving on to our next question here. You kind of touched on this just a little bit. With the addition of the Wellspring, which is now a box set in itself, can you tell us a bit about what the box will include, and will it be some awesome piece of art like the Black Cube itself?
So currently what has been unlocked, what the plan would be probably a more simple box currently, possibly a tuck box like what we have with some of our starter sets, or what would come with like the night side, right? It's ultimately a box that it's probably a throwaway. It's probably useful still to store all the handouts and props. But once we get past the art book, there's always room for more goals, and it might make sense that the next goal might have something to do with an upgraded box, right? That maybe takes it to that next level. We've certainly enjoyed doing that with the Black Cube and the Visley kit. So I don't think we've quite seen what this final form might be, right? It's kind of depending on the heat of the campaign still, and how it all still kind of shakes out. As far as what's inside, I think the campaign page probably talks about it better than I could. We aren't at usually when we're crowdfunding these things, the concept is clear of what we are going to make, or what we hope to make, should we get enough backers. In some campaigns, some or maybe a significant amount of writing may have been happening at this point. Every once in a while we've had it. I think when we kickstarted, the original White Books, the Stars of Fire, I think at that point was close to being done, when we did that. But I think in this case, there's going to be a lot of development still to come, and figuring out the full contents of these handouts and props. But I think those are going to certainly take center stage. The book itself is there to help get campaigns started. All right, there's when you very first do the initial character creation, it's a multi-step process. It's a session itself, and at the very end of it, there's this step called the Desideratum. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And this essentially kind of sets your characters on the path of where you're going to be going. Where's the campaign kind of going? The Wellspring is going to be really important at this stage. I think it's going to give you a lot more tools, a lot more direction in how to direct your campaign, give the players a lot of options in thinking through, because it's really easy to make a world that's so wide open that you can do pretty much anything and everything. But it's kind of hard to kind of pick those threads out and go, oh, I really want to do this when everything's an option. This is going to help give you lots of options and choices and steps. And then, of course, the handouts and props will go hand in hand with those, right? You're going to go direction X. Here's a handout for this. Here's a flyer, maybe. Here's a newspaper article. Here's someone's business card. On and on. We'll have things to kind of help support different directions and paths and steps that will be outlined within the book itself.
That's
Awesome.
pretty cool. I like it a lot.
A lot of our props that we've done. So we did props as part of the original Black Cube. So if you get the Black Cube, you get a packet of props, which are fantastic, and they are referenced in the books and all that kind of stuff. We did a second prop set that has a good variety more of things, and we could do a little bit more stuff because the second prop set was something we built in-house. We didn't actually, we sourced pieces from all kinds of different printers, which allowed us to have a little bit more varied paper stock, things like that. We actually have real newsprint and things like that in there. I don't know if that's really the plan for the Wellspring, but hopefully it is, because it's nice that we can really amp up that variety of things and all. But these props, probably more so than the other two sets, will be very much directed toward content in the book. These things will kind of interplay much more strongly than we have with our other prop sets.
Nice.
I love to hear that, because it is definitely nice to be able to incorporate that into everything you're doing more, I guess, what's the word, naturally, or whatever, like, I'm blanking on a good word to use there, but you get what I mean.
Organically.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good way to say it. Yeah. So yeah, quite exciting news.
And that's that also makes me happy, because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of props at the table anyway. And so it's like really cool when the game you're playing literally comes with the props I think it just kind of enhances the experience. I remember the first time playing a D&D game and putting the black dagger at this black dagger, and it was the ancient black dagger, and it just those little moments. So Invisible Sun just does it in spades.
Well, as you were showing me before we actually started the video here, you were showing off your tape recorder, right? You're ready for the Magnus Archives, right? It creates a certain atmosphere and mood as part of the experience. So those details matter.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great thing. So and to say that, I'm gonna go into the last question we have for you tonight. Is like, we're Cypher Unlimited, and we in the community love everything you do. So can you tell us about any other product revisits possibly, or maybe something about the next great idea coming? Because we get excited in advance.
We often announce kind of the next thing at the end of the current thing. It really kind of makes sense as part of our campaigns. So there might be something that gets announced at the end of this current one. It kind of depends on if certain things come together in time, and we will see. But I can't be the spoiler of those. If you have you get Monty on here or get Charles in here, they might be a little bit more. I think they feel probably a little more empowered to be spoilery. I think it's their babies to spoil. I think if I said too much, I don't know. It's probably just not my place to be spoiling those kinds of things. There are some really cool things in the works. I know some of the things that we have planned out through 2024 and even into 2025. There's something that Monty has been working on for quite a while now that may not happen, right? There's earlier on, I know there's been at least 2 or 3 games that we've played in-house that never actually came out, right? I mean, they were never finished games or whatever, but Monty is one of those who really kind of explores ideas, and and it's not just that okay, I've had this idea, we're going to make it. It often probably works out that way. He's that good, but sometimes things need to be explored, and maybe we see a different version of that. So, but there's something he's been working on for quite a while now that I'm real excited about. I hope it kind of continues down this path. I'm sure it will, but I can't say anything more than that about it.
Well, you sound right. I mean, even though there was nothing direct, that was great. That was a lot, and it makes us happy because guess what? We're Cypher Unlimited, so things on the horizon sound good.
We're not running out of stuff to make, and I think there's some really exciting stuff coming down the pipe. So.
There is one funny anecdote since you mentioned Monty being the one to spoil things and blah blah blah. Well, I forget what we were talking about. I guess it was the last Backerkit campaign. I forget what that is now. Wow, I'm so bad. But yeah, that's right. How can I forget? Yeah. But Monty was on and was talking about something, and he spoiled something or said something about, I think, future stretch goals that weren't announced yet. And Charles was in the chat and said in all caps, Monty, we just said we weren't going to announce anything relating to the stretch goals. So yeah, I think Monty would be the one to be the spoiler of things. Yes.
Yeah, he can get away with that. That's his name's on the company. I think he can get away with a lot. So, when we do Bear Weiter games, maybe it's a different story. But
all right. Well, you know what? This was a great talk. I mean, Al, if you don't have anything else, I'm gonna go into our closing spiel about who we are and what we do. But have you got anything else for Bear?
Oh, no. I think we're good. This was an awesome chat. Thank you so much for coming on, Bear. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for coming by. Hopefully, you will check out the Black Cube reprint campaign that's going on at the moment. If you have not, there's the link again for everyone who has not seen it yet. But yeah, thank you again, Bear, so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as you said, it ends next Friday. If any people are attentive at all, that is November 17th. 17 means something with Invisible Sun. Numbers throughout mean something with Invisible Sun. You'll see our stretch goals are almost always backer level numbers, and those numbers mean something. We have fun with numbers when it comes to Invisible Sun. The numbers are important.
Nice. So, with that being said, if you like us and you like what we do, be sure to join our Discord. We have the largest fan-run Discord for all things Monte Cook Games. With that being said, games are being run at all times, all over the country, all over the world, if you actually think about it. Not a fan of Discord, you can join us on Facebook, which is not as big as Discord, but it is growing. You can subscribe to us on YouTube or here on Twitch. That would be great. All of our shows are always going to be free. And if that doesn't work for you, you want to give us a little donation on like Ko-fi or something, that's fine. And last but not least, you can always join our merch store and get some nice gear like everybody's wearing tonight, and just show some love that way. But no matter what, we love you guys.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. And I will say this just because I haven't given an official date. At the end of this year, the CypherCon design will go down, so you have until the rest of this year to get it if you haven't, and into next year we will take it down. So yeah, if you haven't, be sure to go grab one. And yeah, thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Bear. Thank you, chat. This has been wonderful, and as usual, from us at the CU, we will see you later.